Hello everybody, welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia. I'm gonna scoot. Wait, is that better? Today I'm doing the reader problems tag. I was tagged by Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics, and the originator of the tag is unknown, thought to be someone who is no longer on BookTube, but I will link Alan's channel and his version of the video in the notes, and so go and take a look at how he answered the questions and stick around and look all around his channel because he has excellent book discussions and sometimes you even get some guitar music. Okay, so this is one of those chatty videos that is about reading habits. I did a video a couple weeks ago that was about, you might get some guitar in this video too, I've already lost my train of thought. All right, let's just clarify a couple of things here. That's my husband playing guitar, and I'm sitting in the living room because there are some guys replacing a fence between our yard and the next house, and that is like going on right behind where I sit in my library room. So they're kind of in and out of our backyard and the other backyard and banging on posts and stuff like that. So I moved out here. So anyway, these questions are about reading habits and problems that are the kind of problems that I like to have. So let's see. I have the prompts over here. Let's check it out. The first question is, I'm going to pick this up. You have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Well, that's probably pretty close. Well, first I have to look at any kind of time sensitive, am I trying to finish a certain book for a discussion or a buddy read and things like that. But let's just say that I'm all caught up and I have all my books on my cart and I can read whatever I feel like. Then what I do is I kind of dither around a little bit. Like it's kind of a little production. I will look through the books and kind of think about my mood. Am I like ready to tackle something deep and dark? Do I need something kind of light? Do I feel like reading a mystery, or what's the emotional situation and all this kind of junk? And so then, I will pull out usually 3 or 4 books and I will just sit around with them for maybe like half an hour, and I will just open them, read the first page. It's I don't know, it's like some sort of I don't know, it's like how all that silly stuff you see when people are smelling wines and swirling them around and stuff. I'm kind of doing that with the books, and then I settle on something and I start to read it, and every now and then there's a failure to launch where I picked wrong. And that happened the other day. I was reading, the book's in the other room, but I started to read Small Worlds by Caleb somebody. I'll put the book up on the screen. I can't remember his name and I don't feel like going to get it. But I started to read it and I read it for a little while and I was like, timing, this isn't what I'm not in the mood. But I think this book is well written. I think I like this book, but I cannot get into it. So I just set it aside and I'll read it another time. So it wasn't a DNF. I planned to read it and I just wasn't in that mood. And so anyway, but usually, then I pick out my book and then I sally forth. All right, let's see what the next question is. The end of the world. No, that's not what it says. The end of the year is coming and you're so close, but so far away on your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? Well, I'm glad it's not the end of the world. That'd be a whole different tone of reading tag here. I don't do Goodreads, so I don't have a Goodreads challenge. Therefore, I am blissfully unencumbered by the Goodreads goals and all of that stuff. I don't have any kind of numerical goals. My goals are only really month by month, like things I wish to participate in. I have sort of these long range goals to try to remember to read more nonfiction, reread certain classics or backlist books that I want to read again. Just kind of not like hard and fast goals, just sort of things in mind that I intend to do. But I don't have a numerical challenge. I just read and however many books that ended up being, that's what it is. Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how many I've read this year so far yet. Um, Number 4, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? Oh yeah, yeah. I like when a series matches. I like sets. I also like when there's a certain author and it's not even a series, but that author's books have kind of a visual theme, or that they look good together. Sometimes, but then I don't really hold my end up of it, because I will buy things secondhand, or I know I have like a US one and then a UK one, and so I'm not real committed to it, but I like it. I do like it to match. So it doesn't really disturb me that badly when they don't, though. Okay, I found an example. See, Colson Whitehead's, these two books match. I like how, I mean, it is a sequel, but I like how they are, the style and the colors. I mean, they go together when they're on the shelf together. It looks good, and there's going to be a third one, and I need it to match with these. Number 5, everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? Well, booktubers, of course, because that whole thing where everybody loves the book and I want nothing to do with it is usually an in real life kind of thing. And it happened a lot more before I retired. They would be at work and people would assume, because I love to read, that I would be all into the whatever the big hit author was. I mean, it wasn't Colleen Hoover. That kind of happened afterward. But, like that category. Like there's some author that everybody's all, woo, and I would just have to be polite about it, because it would be like somebody I have zero interest in reading. But see, BookTube's great for that. If you feel like you are the counterclockwise person on any book or genre or author, you will find your people on BookTube. A very well-regarded book that I often feel that I'm the only person who doesn't like it is Life of Pi. I tried to read that book twice, and so I know people love that book. I could not read that book. But I am sure that there are other fellow non-piers out there who can commiserate with me. And then beyond that, I don't really care. I don't really care if what I like doesn't match up with everybody else's. But it is fun to always be able to know that I can find somebody else who feels like I do about a book. Whether I'm the only one who loves it or the only one who despises it, I will find those people. Okay, the next one. Number 6, you're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you feel? No, that doesn't really happen. I don't really sit around and read devastating books out in public. I mean, if I was reading in public, well, I'm not a big crier while reading a book, so it doesn't really happen. But I can get like really sad and depressed reading a book, but I don't really cry. So, Next question. Number 7, a sequel of a book you just loved. This is real high tech here, just holding this Chromebook. You just loved came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, cry in frustration? If I really loved the first book and then there's been this big gap, I will probably reread it. That's what I did with the ones I just showed. I reread Harlem Shuffle before Crook Manifesto, because it had been, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years maybe. It wasn't that long, but I knew when I read the book the first time that I wanted to read it again, because I had like a Nickel Boys hangover when I read it, and I felt like it kind of overshadowed the very different structure and tone of Harlem Shuffle. So I would just reread the book if I loved it. If it's a book I didn't like that much, well, I don't think I'd be reading the sequel. So yeah, if I love it enough that I'm excited about the sequel, I'll just read it again. Number 8, you do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? No, people don't ask me too much. If it's within my immediate family, I will let them borrow the books because I know where to find them when I want my book back. And yeah, I've been burned on that. The infamous case was this was like years and years ago when The Secret History was a new release. I had that book, I read it. I did not love The Secret History. It's not my favorite Donna Tartt book, but I read the book. We had a book club, and it was my real life book club in North Texas, and we had the book club, and occasionally somebody would bring a person who wanted to join along, like a friend from work or their sister-in-law or somebody like that would come. And so somebody brought someone. I don't remember her name. I don't remember what she looked like. She was another teacher. This young woman was there. We were all young women. We were like in our 20s, or were we in our 20s or 30s? I don't know. We were young. But anyway, she came in there, and she came to the one where we were talking about the book, but she hadn't read it. And I was like, oh, you can borrow mine. You can bring it next time. Never saw this woman ever again in my life or my book, and no one else in the book club. Like, I didn't say anything. She didn't come the next month. And then by the time I asked about it, nobody else could remember her either. No, like it was like a ghost in the machine. Nobody ever saw her again or remembered her. And she was a flash in the pan, but she has my copy of The Secret History. Even though I didn't really care for it, it was mine, and she took it. Number 9, you have picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? All right, I'm going to probably curse myself, and I'm going to knock on this wooden chair, but that does not happen to me. I hear about these, I'm moving on this creaky chair again. I hear about these slumps, and people have weeks or months where they just can't get engaged in a book, and it sounds really bad, but that has never happened to me. The most that happens to me is what I described a little while ago, where I will start the wrong book, and it just, if I know that I'm not excited to get back into the book, or I feel myself actively like thinking, I just need to read a little more and see if it catches on, I just set it aside and pick something else. Sometimes I need like a little palate cleanser before I pick my next book, so I might read some short stories or even some poems. But I usually don't have a 24-hour gap before I start another book. Maybe like a half a day, or I finish a book and then I don't start the next book till the next day, but that's about it. And another thing that I think, if I feel kind of blah about my selections, is to read a couple of children's books in between too. Like, I'll just go and walk through the children's part of the library and pick out a couple of picture books, nonfiction books, whatever, even a chapter book. So that's a good in-betweener as well. But the long slumpity slumps I have not experienced, and I hope I do not experience. Number 10, there are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? Some. I buy some of them. I do like new releases. That's not all I like. I like backlist books and classics as well, and secondhand surprises. But yeah, I do love new releases. Yeah. I would say I just get some of them. Stephen would say I get a lot, probably. But I get some of them. I kind of look and see when I hear about some I see new releases are coming out, somebody reviews upcoming releases, or a prize list comes out. I will first look and see what the library has. And I will kind of have a little strategy of things that I'm interested in, but I'll wait and try to get them at the library. But things that I feel really strongly about. I feel urgently that I want to read them very soon, or it's an author I love, or it just sounds so good, or sometimes just the strength of certain people's reviews just propel my hands into placing an order. And the last one, after you have bought the new books that you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelves before you get to them? Oh, okay. Well, anywhere from 2 days to 2 years. We'll just kind of like that. I mean, yeah, that does happen where I'm just so intense about this new book and then I don't read it for a long time. I can't explain it. It's like I cannot predict. Oh, I can kind of predict. Like when I got Tom Lake, I knew I had to read it really soon. In fact, it jumped up over top of themed events and timed things that I was supposed to be reading. Like I only was able to delay it like a space of like one more book in between what I was reading and then getting to Tom Lake. But other times I think, oh yes, I must have it, and then it just waits and waits and waits and waits and waits. So I think I'm better about it than I used to be, and that's more likely to happen with a backlist book. Like I don't feel as urgent about it, but I wanted to get it because I came across a really great quality hardback of it at a nice price, and so I went ahead and secured it for myself, even though I'm not going to read it right this minute. So yeah, I'd say 2 days to 2 years is about the shelf waiting time of a book. All right, that's the end of the tag. And I am going to tag, I don't think that Priscilla at Evening Reader has done this tag. And I don't think that, I'm not sure if Melinda has done this at Web of Stories. So if you have done them before, I don't think I saw them. But anyway, you're tagged. And anybody else who thinks these are fun questions, you are also tagged. Let me know down in the comments what you agree or disagree with, or you do things differently from these prompts. And have a great day. My next video, I'm going to be doing one probably coming out tomorrow about the next batch of short stories, and then I'll be back around to Friday Reads, which will be kind of a catch-up one since I was out of town last weekend. So have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.